Welcome back, Raw Sagan family. We have JRice93. He's been on the top 10 dueling book for the longest time with rocks. And all you guys been asking for his deck profile. It's a pretty good deck. He went to locals, 48 player locals, got first, didn't even lose one match. 2-0 everybody. Any shout outs?
Just DC Comics, Raw Sagan, like and subscribe. Just everybody in Oklahoma, all the DB boys. That's basically it.
All right, let's see your spicy deck profile.
So of course you play the 9 tuners. These cards are still insane. 1 card fibers. I mean, fiber isn't what it used to be as far as this deck goes. I mean, there's no really standard play. I really like this one. This is probably my favorite one. This is Cyber Dragon going second. So, and it also being a level 4 tuner, a lot of the lines, you end on Baron to floor in your deck. So it being a level 4 tuner is nice. I mean, they're all good, but I really like this card. Like, going second, this is how you win.
Man, when I play that deck, this is like my least favorite one.
Oh, it's insane. And then I see some lists, you know, they don't play the 3 Doki because it's very susceptible to hand traps, but it also, you can look at it, the other side of the spectrum is it forces hand traps. So like, and it turns on your signs and your Monster Reborn, which I play 4 copies basically in the deck. So you pitch a rock, and it's just really good bait, and it's good to hit. Specifically, I think you need to play this card at 3 in this deck because it also, with droplets being so prevalent in the format, you want actually to mill this because you want to make Herald of the Arclight with your inboard because it plays around droplets. So this card's actually really important. And then, so some of the other rocks, Lash Extenders, Supplier. This card's insane. You know, if your rocks leave the field, whether it be, you know, Blackout, Guardian Chimera, you know, you just activate this. Chain blocks your Hawk. And it's just insane. Add Guardian, so you add the card, you stack off a Plague in this deck, so you just get free cards off this. This card's just really good. I know it's kind of bland, but Guardian, I would say that this card isn't as important as it used to be. I mean, it still lets you play around things, but Nib is not so prevalent to where, like, you're trying. I very rarely end with this on the field. It's just not my top priority. I'll kind of check for Nib at first, and then if they don't really nib me, you can kind of get a read. And then you just, sometimes with this deck, I don't really respect Nib Game 1. You can choose to play around it, and you can, but I really don't respect it, and that it is what it is. But it's still an insane card. You know, it's one of the best rocks you can play to hit. This is actually my favorite one to hit, because just drawing a card and being a water for the Dragite, so it turns on your negate, and then it makes your Dweller's 2200 whenever it's underneath Dweller, which is actually kind of prevalent because lets Dweller attack over things, like post like D-Barrier, and then you just turn the Dweller into Zeus, so it's pretty nice. This one, I like this card. There's a line of play where you'll use one of the tuners, and so what'll happen is whenever you have one of these in the grave, you'll activate your signs, and then you'll special any of the tuners, and then preferably a level 2 tuner, and then you'll stack this on top of the deck with the signs, and then you'll make the Leo, and then whenever he's excavated, you will stack any Adamancipator card from your graveyard on top of the deck. So you'll stack the signs that you just reborn the Researcher with, and then you'll synchro these into the Leo, and then Leo will excavate 5, and you'll hit the signs that so it's just kind of like a double extender. So I really like to play, or it's just like follow-up. This deck doesn't have follow-up, so you kind of have to play that route sometimes, just for a next turn play. This deck is very glass cannon, so I find myself doing that play a lot. So continuing with the monsters, sorry about that. 3 Parallel Exceed. It's arguable that this is just the best card in the deck. I mean, it's a wind for your Dragite to turn your Dragite into Raptite into a DD Crow, and it's just nice with Hawk. It just makes Dweller it makes granite. You know, it's just even the hands you brick with just like ash, droll, anything like that. You just sometimes you can just normal some of those cards, make Almirage, and then make your granite get going that way. So this card's actually really insane, and I find myself I've done that a few times. Plague, this card's busting this deck. Bring it off a Hulk. Stack the cards you want to stack to excavate. So not really much to say. I wouldn't play more than one. I think one's all you need. This card's kind of controversial in this deck. I see from a lot of lists that they play Small World. However, I did test that card and I do like it, but I don't really play any of the clean bridges. I don't play Nib in the main. I don't play Ghost Bell, as I don't really like Ghost Bell very much right now because it doesn't play around Branded Lost, whereas Crow does. But I don't really want to play Crow, and I could play like one Nib in the main, and I've thought about it. But I think this card's just really clean because they will ash this card always, which means your miners will always go through. So like they kind of have to ash this card. This card's just really good. It's not standard at all, but I really advise playing it, and it's worked wonders for me so far on DB. For the 4 Reborn cards, this card's insane. You choose what you want to excavate because you stack the top of your card when you bring back a one of the miners or any Adamancipator card. So this card's really good. It's how you play around Nib a lot of the time, and just how you play around a lot of things. Reborn is nice. I typically like, if I have these sometimes in a really good hand, I'll just hold them for the follow up so they'll just die next turn. For the hand traps, 3 Ash. I'll always play it in this deck. It's the best hand trap right now. Sometimes it's an FTK against the Despia deck. Sometimes they'll do their greedy play where they search Lost, Branded Fusion. This just really is an FTK against them. Against Sword Soul, it's not that great, but you can still hit them with it, and I do keep it in just because it is a fire. Sometimes they'll make the line where they just go Chow Fang with the Tinyis, and then they'll normal Ecclesia, and you just hit them with this. So I really like that. Droll. It's a wind in this deck. It's normal summonable, so you can turn on your Parallel Xyz, worst case scenario. This is really good against the gas build of Despia. It's not, once again, it's not very good against Sword Soul, as I do side it out against Sword Soul. But you can get lucky against that deck sometimes where they open like weird lines, and this is just really good against all the adventure decks that are popping up too. So I would recommend playing this card. It being a wind as well with the Riptide in the extra deck to turn him into a DD Crow. So I would advise playing this. And then I don't play Nib. That's why I'm not playing Small World. I play Imperm. Just safe. Plays around talents. Good going second. Good as a 6 card in this deck. Or really any deck for that matter. It's just good. You turn off a long wand when you draw it for turn. Sword Soul can be difficult. But this card's just really good hitting Alubers. And just really safe. Plays around talents. For the extra deck, the 2 links I play. 1 Almirage, it's mandatory because of the Droll. When your Doki gets Ash and you have Xyz in hand, you turn your Doki into this, Xyz, get the Granite, get going that way. Hulk, I actually did play 2 in my list before this guy hit to 1, so I did like playing 2, but these are the only 2 links I play. I don't play Access Code, I don't play Unicorn, I don't play any of those. You don't really need them. You can put up Lethal without those cards. And this is the main thread of this deck. You want to end with this every single time because this card's really versatile. It lets you make Baron or Satellite Warrior on your opponent's turn after you use your other negate. So this card's really good just for the tag out effect, especially in this deck. Got the Formula. That's what you tag out Hulk into sometimes. The Herald of the Arclight. I really like this card because post side especially. Game 1, it's just a safe card to make. That's why I would recommend playing 3 Dokis, because it does play around droplets, and this card's just really insane. When you have anti-spell too. When you have anti-spell, this card plays around droplets, game over. They don't have a chance. Scoop it up, sign the slip. Quadrax, this is specifically for the Hulk, where you will tag it out, and it's whenever you have one of your level 6s on field, whether it be the Leo or the Riptide, to turn into your Baron or Satellite Warrior. So then we will play 2 Riptide. I think this is mandatory. This card's really good because you want to use them aggressively. So turn 1 you'll use 1, and then if something ever happens to the first one, you know, people just get caught off guard by the second one. It does come up a lot. It comes up quite a bit. Leo, this is really good. Just add follow-up. You add your rock if you do decide to end on Guardian. You add the signs. This card gives you it's the one way to get follow-up in this deck. And just being a monster reborn when you have the Ash or the Almirage in your grave for the fire to reborn a Guardian on your opponent's turn, or just anything really. This card is insane. Dragite, this is how you beat a lot of the boards. Non-targeting bounce. Have a water in your grave. Negate for a spell and trap during either player's turn or an effect of a spell and trap. This card's really good, so this is how you break boards. Crystal Wing, this card insane. I don't play Savage because, as you can see, the only links I play are Hulk and Almirage, and your Hulk will tag itself out all the time, so it's not going to even be in the grave for Savage, and this card's really good. This is how you clear boards too. You'll simplify the game state to where you'll just make this. After clearing your board, you'll have Hulk this. You know, you'll attack their guy, so then they'll go for their turn. You'll have a monster negate. You'll use that up. Then you'll turn your Hulk into a formula draw card, and then turn the formula and this into the Baron. And then when the Baron's used up, you can reborn this with the Baron after you tag the Baron out. And you can kind of keep that loop going. Baron de Flor, this card's a godsend. For Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, it's just the best level 10 in the game, synchro-wise. This card is really, really good. There's not really much to say. Everybody knows what the card does. This card's Satellite Warrior. You make this a lot with Hulk, especially against the Sword Soul boards is where it comes up. They'll kind of they will play through your gates because your deck doesn't look like it has a lot going on, but the Hulk actually, it does do a lot. It doesn't look like it. It can be deceiving, but when they play, get their Taille, the token, the Monk, you'll tag out the Hulk, synchro into this during your opponent's turn, pop 3 cards, just huge tempo swing, and then it gains the attack, so it's big, so they have to deal with it. Then for the XYZs, you play Abyss Dweller. This card's really good right now. Against Despia, it's good. And against the Sword Soul deck, it's actually a sleeper. And it's just another way to beat Dark Ruler, because Dark Ruler is in the format. So you just want to kind of beat that card. And, you know, sometimes this deck does lose to it. But, hey, if they have it, they have it. Sometimes you just kind of want to, you know, at least you have something for it. And this card's just really, really good against just random decks. It has random applications all the time in the meta. Granted, this card's is bait a lot of the time. But post side is really cool, because what will happen is you'll already have all your plays, and then you'll search Nib. So they have to play through your board and Nib. So even if they have a card like Droplets and stuff, this card's really insane. Or when you crack a board, you will make this search Nib, and then they can't come back on the crackback. And then what happens is this is how you play around D-Barrier. I mean, there's not really playing around D-Barrier, but that's usually what happens on DB, or what has happened in my experience is I'll get D-Buried, I'll have 2 level 4s, I'll search Nib, crash over something, make Zeus, and that's just hard to deal with. So that's usually it's in there for like the D-Buried, which is really good at forcing things. For the side deck, this is my favorite part about the deck actually, because granted it is very important and it gets you started. 3 Token Collector. This card's game against Sword Soul. Sometimes they make their route, and I'll just go ahead and show these. Sometimes they make the route where they try to play around the Token Collector by making the Berserker first. And then sometimes when they do that, they just get punished by the Nib. So if you're a Soul Soul player, I don't know if there's really a correct line to play. Sometimes they have one or the other. So that's why I like to have these 6, because it kind of punishes the other line if they go for one or the other. If they go for the Chow Fang, this punishes them, or if they go for the Berserker line, this punishes them. So I just like to have that. And then this card, it's just good against all the punk decks coming up in the format, all the basically the base 4.0 decks. So this card's just really good, and it being a rock in this deck, it does come up. So I'll put the Nibs to the side. So this is why it's my side deck is my favorite part about the deck, is because Retaliating Seed, these are both level 4s. This is against Despia, because Snow is an FTK against your deck, if you don't have analyzer. So that's why, like, and you can combo off just leaving this on field. So it turns off their mirror jade, it turns off the Mercuriers in hand, because they have to go to grave. It turns off their droplets that they have set, and it's a level 4 to turn into granite. So this card actually is just putting a lot of work. So those are the hand traps on the side. Pankratops, just a good generic. I don't play a lot of spell and trap removal. This is good going second. You know, it's good into some of the boards at random matchups. Just a good card. Harpies. Reboot, God card. You always have to respect D-Bear. So I find myself signing this in quite a bit, even in the matchups I don't want it, because I don't want to get D-Buried, and this is just the one fighting chance that I have. I mean, I do have Zeus to play. I mean, I win games where I get D-Buried where I don't see this, but, you know, this makes it easier. This Blackout beats the D-Barrier. It's just a good card. There's a reason it's at 1. And then Anti-Spell. This card's really good in this deck because, as I said, it beats Flunder. It just beats all the random decks. It beats Droplets because Droplets Dark Ruler really hurts your deck. So that's where you will try to end on the Herald with this card. Or sometimes you just end on the Dragite, and even if they have Twin or whatever, even though you're playing Rocks, you have an Omni Negate for it. So the card's just really insane, and it kind of protects your board. So anyway, that's the deck profile. I've had a lot of success with this deck on DB. Once again, I don't think it's the best or anything, but, you know, it's a fun deck to play. You know, anytime I get a chance to play it, I will, and I just like the matchups right now with this deck, and it's just really fun. So take it with a grain of salt. I don't think it's the best or anything. I just really enjoy playing this deck, and, you know, just wanted to show off my list.
All right, don't forget to subscribe and check them out on Dueling Book. JRice93. Simple. JRice93. If you can't remember that, I don't know.